in the NHS recently, there's been a case in the London Ambulance Service where a laptop which wasn't encrypted had patient data on it, and it was lost. No one's found it. We don't know what the consequences, if any, of that are going to be, or have been already. But I mean, it's a serious issue. Computer security in all its various different guises. It's not just a matter of fiction. So, in short, what's all the fuss about? Well, essentially, you're privy to, you collect a lot of patient information and other sensitive information. And that's what we're really talking about here. That's what's the lifeblood of your work, is patient information, maybe on paper notes, maybe in IT systems. But at the end of the day, you need that to do your job, as does everyone in the health service generally. And that has to be protected. Quite simply, if that's compromised in any way by loss, maybe by theft, maybe by corruption in some other way, it's going to be a problem for us all. So we're looking at some of the elements of what you can do about that. There has been a lot of criticism about how well we do look after that information for a number of sources. Obviously, it gets in the press. Equally, the Information Commissioner, I don't know if anyone has ever had any dealings with the Information Commissioner, but he's the chap who's in charge, really, of the Data Protection Act and the Freedom of Information Act, and various other things on behalf of the government. Well, he wrote a letter to the NHS on the 5th of September, jointly with the NHS Chief Executive. There's a small prize for anyone who can name the NHS Chief Executive. No, I thought I'd draw a blank on that one. Sir David Nicholson. It's a very good quiz question, though. But anyway, Sir David Nicholson. But anyway, the two of them wrote this letter to the NHS, basically saying, I think, that they've lost patience with us in terms of all the mistakes we make. So they are more than worried. They've lost patience basically with too many data breaches in the world. Last April, the maximum fine became £500,000. No one's going to fine £500,000, but I think what he's actually doing is he's giving us lots of warning that if things go on and on and on like this, gradually the penalties will go up and up. So he's also looking to make more offences in terms of data privacy and so forth into criminal offences, which might mean that some people have liability that could send them to jail or whatever, give them a criminal record. So, you know, he's sort of getting serious. It's a slow burn thing, because he's been saying this for quite a long time, but one can't help feeling one day someone will be made an example of. Now, please don't try and read that, but there's no apology for the unreadability there. Essentially, it would be a wonderful thing if there were only so few incidents that you could read it. But at the end of the day, that is just 3 months, and not even 3 months incidents. That's 3 months of the ones where the Information Commissioner decided it was worth dragging the Chief Executive, or in the case of GP surgery, the senior partner, to actually sign a legal undertaking to say they'd do better in future. So it's a wide variety of things that have gone wrong. In the private sector, the blue ones are actually NHS ones. And an awful lot of reasons, they're very, very wide. But I mean, there are a few trends that you can pick out. There's an awful lot of faxes and emails going astray. Things aren't always being encrypted, and then they're getting lost. And there's quite a bit of carelessness with equipment and carelessness with paper going on. And there's a lot of other things, you know, websites being hacked and various other things going on. But you know, there's plenty of it going on. And the one in the GP practice down the bottom was all about faxes going astray. But I'm sure you're aware of that sort of thing. So, to recap on that, they're only the ones that were not reported. We used to say that there aren't hundreds that aren't being reported, because it's basically, you've got to put your hand up and be honest about these things. I don't know if anyone here has ever had an incident of any sort they thought they might want to report to someone, or might want to shot themselves for. It's a difficult thing to want to do. But you know, it does happen. Organisations do report themselves, usually by the Strategic Health Authority. But, so okay, there's probably loads not being reported. And of course there's the things going on that no one's even spotted yet. So, who's to say there isn't a vulnerability in your IT systems somewhere that's leaking out information, and the person who wants to use that information isn't going to advertise that. So at the end of the day, so that actually something that comes to show it up, you know, who knows what's going on. So there's probably a lot more than we understand going on in the background. Just to mention what an undertaking is, I mentioned an undertaking just now as a legal document. There's 3 levels of potential action that the Information Commissioner can take, which is an undertaking saying, basically, we've been naughty and we will be better in the future. So basically, you're admitting to something, but not being actually charged with it. The next stage is an enforcement notice, which says you're going to do something particular, like you've got to beef up your security in some way. And lastly, there's fines. So there's plenty of scope. We're probably at the bottom end of that wedge at the moment. Well, you might think IT is the culprit rather than something that can help you on this one, but I mean, it's probably both, to be honest. Just as our staff can be careless, staff can help. So at the end of the day, you've got quite a lot of data in your GP systems and so forth. You've got quite a lot of data on paper, perhaps as well, or maybe paperless. It's all vulnerable. It's vulnerable when it's sitting there. It's also vulnerable when it gets moved, when it's sent to someone or whatever. And there's a variety of different potential threats all the time to that information. In terms of IT countermeasures and anything you can do about it, I would say straight away that you've got to have a balance between the amount of money you invest in stopping things going on and in reality you haven't got an infinite amount of money, and the level of threat. Now, you know, we don't have a thing like the government saying that the level of threats against GP data have reached critical yet or anything like that. I don't know where I would actually put that, to be honest. I wouldn't put it incredibly high, but when you consider that it isn't people hacking so much that's going to get you into trouble, it's something probably you do that's careless that will get you into trouble. And at the end of the day, you know, people are being pilloried for actually making mistakes when actually there was no particular criminal intent from anyone. So, you know, it's just one of those things you've got to spend some time trouble counteracting, but maybe not the most important thing in your budget. I hope that with efficient care. Anyway, so this evening, what we want to do as an organisation, Sussex HIS, I'm sure you've all read the banners, we are here to help, we're here to provide technology support. We already do it for the whole of Sussex, one way and another. Look at some of the potential changes, innovations, potential things we can do to actually reduce some of those threats, and hopefully not actually make your life any more difficult while doing so.